I do want to talk a little bit about some of the changes that Ratta has been making to the Supernote platform. They're doing something different, and some people love this and some people don't. And I kind of want to talk about that. I want to talk about whether or not these are the right moves. There's some discussion on Reddit that Supernote has kind of lost their way a little bit. I'm not sure that I agree, but I do think that they're definitely changing things. And I think that's important for them and us as people who may use the platform to kind of decide whether or not they're going far afield from their mission, whether or not they're just embracing what I think, and this is my own bias coming through, was kind of their intent to begin with, was this idea of if we're going to be for those who write, a lot of times with writing comes doodling, drawing, creativity. Over the years, it seems like they've started to say, okay, well, we're going to be for those who write. That's going to be our primary function. But there are all these other ways of expressing yourself that kind of spring from or move from writing, including mind mapping, which is a visual way to diagram, including drawing and using creative bullet journaling. And people want to be able to do that. So you get the stickers, even now to turning it into a Wacom tablet. But one thing, and the stickers get a lot of bad press. For those of you who haven't seen Voya's video yet on the stickers, he was giving off Bob Ross vibes to me. So those of you who grew up when I did at a certain time get this idea of Bob Ross and the happy little trees. When Voya was drawing his amoeba, I was getting happy little tree vibes. And I think that, you look at that and you say, wow, this is a little bit crazy. It was just pretty cool. But the reason to me stickers are so important is because they allow a lot of different things. Again, I've talked about the fact that I added some basic shapes, or I took an existing shape and then modified that slightly to create a new sticker. But not even just that. For those of us who aren't artistic, yeah, you may see these as not as professional as what you would like to have. Maybe you want something a little bit more fun, a little bit more whimsical, and a little bit more quote unquote artistic. And if that's the case, these work really well for you. But you can also customize these. You could start with these. And a lot of times what gets lost, at least I think in my trying to explain this, is that people have called them clip art, but they're really not, because all of these are so much more than that. They do a lot of different things. Let's do a new note. Let's do a standard note, because that's where you get the most customizability with stickers. If you look at the built-in stickers, and let's say that I want to go in and I want to, oh, there's a good one. So let's go with the clock. Let's just go ahead and pop the clock in. I'm trying to do this from the side, so give me a second. So now on most platforms, you would think that this is a static image, that's all it is. But that's not the case. That's why it's hard. Pop in and I go to my regular eraser. Let's make it a little bit bigger. And let's say that I want this clock to only be on the quarter of the hour. So I can go in and erase individual components of this sticker. You can't do that with just a plain image. Now, maybe I'm wrong there, and you all tell me if I am, but I'm pretty sure you can't. That changes the way that this works. So I can start with this base. Now I just have the quarter of the hour. And then if I wanted to, I could then go to a pen and I could draw my hands with the line feature, and now I've created a new image. And I think that's the difference with this, or this is ultimate control, so you can get really fine with these details and pretty it up, change it, do it a different way. But you could also use this now, because it's not an image. If I circle this, I can now turn this into a heading, I can turn it into a link, and I can do a sticker. Now, one thing you can't do, but you can do in the handwriting recognition notes, is you could then turn it into a keyword and a bunch of other things. So it's pretty cool. But you can also add in, so I could say, this is my clock. Now, when I go to select it, I can create a new sticker and save it in a collection. It's maybe to some of you, you see that as clip art. I don't remember clip art. I'm a big fan of Clippy at the time, but I don't remember clip art being something that you could actually go in, erase, manipulate, and resize, mirror, all those other things. This doesn't allow you to mirror, but it allows you to do most of that. That's different. But this specific thing allows you to do a lot of other stuff. I like this kind of stuff because I'm not an artist, so this doesn't bother me. And the fact that you can export and share these makes it even more fun. If Pixel Leaves were to go all in on drawing custom stickers, I would buy that tomorrow. I'm just going to say it. I would, because she does phenomenal work with all of the things she does on these devices. And if she created a custom sticker pack and put that out there and said, here's what I use, here's how I do things, that shows the value add of the Supernote platform. And you don't have to. Nothing on the Supernote is a have to. You don't have to use tags. You don't have to use stars. You don't have to use anything you want, but you can use everything. If you go and you're in real-time recognition notes, you can actually use your sticker to create a new event or a new task with the text that's inside it. And you can add it as a keyword. And you can tag it with multiple keywords. So it just gives you a lot of different ways to be able to engage with the device. If you're looking for to-do, just general to-dos, you can tag every single checkbox as a to-do, as a keyword. Go to the search, hit keyword, hit to-do, and you will see every single checkbox. You can also tag that checkbox combined with text as an individual to-do item in your to-do list so that you can access it from the task. That's a really powerful feature.